E0. Sudeep. Nagar%AR. Sudeep Nagarkar. The Secrets We Keep. Penguin Books. Contents. Prologue. Chapter 1. Chapter 2. Chapter 3. Chapter 4. Chapter 5. Chapter 6. Chapter 7. Chapter 8. Chapter 9. Chapter 10. Chapter 11. Chapter 12. Chapter 13. Chapter 14. Epilogue. Acknowledgements. Follow Penguin. Copyright. Penguin Metro reads. The Secrets We Keep. Sudeep Nagarkar has authored 10 best-selling novels and has been featured on the Forbes India long list of the most influential celebrities for 3 consecutive years. He was also awarded Celebrity Author of 2013 by Amazon India. In 2016, he was awarded Youth Icon of India by Z Awards and the WBR Group. He also writes for television and has given guest lectures at institutes such as the IITs and for organizations like TEDx. Connect with Sudeep via his Facebook fan page, Sudeep Nagarkar. Facebook profile, Nagarkar Sudeep. Twitter, Sudeep_Nagarkar. Instagram, Sudeep Nagarkar. By the same author. Few things left unsaid. That's the way we met. It started with a friend request. Sorry, you're not my type. You're the password to my life. You're trending in my dreams. All rights reserved for you. She swiped right into my heart. Our story needs no filter. She friend-zoned my love. Prologue. If you could forget a relationship that fleetingly existed in the past, would you? If your past could be erased, would you erase it? Sadly, you have no choice in this matter because your past am invincible. Mysterious and unseen, I am the master of the dark and light and everything in between. I am a force of nature, an unstoppable wave that'll tame you by taking away every last bit of your strength, until you regret ever standing in my path. A king of manipulation at its finest, I will see into the soul of the characters in this story long before they catch a glimpse, and change the way they think. I am the only God and the only devil, and I am here to destroy you because without destruction there's no creation. If you think you can escape me, you're already doomed. Chapter 1. Teehee House was a 2-story building surrounded by palm trees. The main feature of the dining room was a large oak table around which a family sat, enjoying their dinner. The family consisted of Akriti and her parents. 2 potential onlookers, they seemed happy, taking bites of their food and exchanging smiling glances with each other. The father paused after a bite and cleared his throat. This is about his family. Where are they and why are they silent? We can't just allow things to proceed without an assurance from them. Before Akriti could answer, the sound of a fork banging on a plate caused them to turn to face her mother. After all, it's your happiness that matters the most to us, but for that we have to make sure you are in the right hands. Akriti made her way towards her room on the upper floor and slammed the door. She leaned against it and closed her eyes. Her face was pale with exhaustion and fatigue. She turned to place her ear against the door. Her parents were still arguing. These days they were always arguing, and most of the time she was their subject. She shook her head and began changing into her night clothes to sleep the awful night away. As she walked towards the bed, she thought she heard a noise above her head. The house did not have an attic, so at first the sound confused her, and then alerted her when she heard another and then another. It sounded like footsteps on her roof, heading to her parents' bedroom. She froze, not moving until the sounds were farther away from her. She took a deep breath, switched off the lights and quickly walked to her parents' bedroom, where they were still arguing behind their own closed door. She raised a hand to knock when, all of a sudden, she heard the sound of breaking glass, her mother's screams and a gunshot. Her eyes filled with tears as she registered what could have taken place. "Find the girl," a deep, muffled voice ordered. Frightened, Akriti rushed to her room, once more closing the door behind her. She frantically looked around for a place to hide. She considered hiding under the bed but went into her closet instead, closing her eyes and praying for a miracle. She held her breath and willed her heart to stop pounding. When she heard her room door opening and the soft footsteps of an intruder entering her private space, beads of sweat dripped down the sides of her face as the stranger walked towards her bed, lifting the delicate bedspread to see if she was hiding underneath. "Rahul," a man's voice called from the hallway. "Here," the voice from the room answered. "Her parents are in the master bedroom," the voice from the hallway said. It sounded familiar but she didn't dare come out. "I flashed my torchlight and alarmed the two bad guys, but we were too late. They..." She strained her ears to hear more of the conversation, but it seemed curiously muffled. She stood and pressed her ear to the door of the closet, holding her breath and waiting for whatever was going to happen next. A few moments later, she let out a breath, inhaling the darkness and trying to make sense of the events that had just taken place. She reached for the doorknob, when suddenly, it was yanked open and she stood staring at two men holding handguns. As the men realized who they were pointing their guns at, they relaxed and lowered them. Stepping back, they stood looking at each other. When Akriti realized the two men were Rahul and his friend, Nirav, she instinctively hugged Rahul. "There is nothing to worry about. Your parents are okay. However, we didn't manage to apprehend the guys. I am sure they were associated with the same mission. Nirav was keeping an eye on your house, so we were able to get here in time. Why are they trying to kill me?" Akriti was still out of breath. "You'll have to come with us. Only you. Not your parents," Rahul ordered. "Igno. Ring her question." Her parents, who were now standing unharmed next to Akriti, stared at each other with blank expressions. "What's happening and where are you taking her?" Akriti's dad was worried. There were so many questions he did not have the answer to. Akriti sat at a table with Rahul and Nirav by her side. The room was cold and lifeless. The entire area resembled an isolation camp. The meeting room, the one she was currently seated in, had only steel tables, a few chairs and a large screen on the wall. The screen in front of them flickered on, and Akriti found herself staring at a face that could only belong to a person of authority, judging by his stern demeanor. "Good job, team. This is not an easy task, considering we do not know why these events are happening. There could be spy agencies involved. Although I would have preferred that you had got hold of those attackers, it is good to know that the entire family is safe." Director Rajiv Jain, Rahul addressed the screen. "Akriti's parents are not in town for the next half of the month. They are leaving for Jaipur tomorrow to attend a family wedding. Since Akriti is going to be alone, it would be in her best interests if she were somewhere safer." The director thought for a moment before asking, "Do you have a location in mind, Rahul?" Rahul nodded. "You might as well go ahead, then. Remember, her safety is our primary concern. If necessary, take some time off." Is that clear? As crystal, dir. Hector. Thank you. The man on the screen disappeared. Rahul sighed with relief, lost in his thoughts for a brief moment before realizing Nirav and Akriti were staring at him in wonder. What? He snarled at them. Where are you taking me without my permission? Akriti raised her eyebrows. To my house. Your house? Are you serious? When was the last time you visited your house or even spoke to your family? Akriti scanned his face, searching for answers, as she knew that Rahul was not on speaking terms with his family. Rahul held her by her shoulders and looked into her eyes. Now that I have some time on my hands, I want us to take the next step in our relationship. Nirav had a grin on his face. That is out of character for you, Officer Rahul, considering we have company, Akriti teased, indicating Nirav's presence. Do we? Rahul smiled, his eyes locked on Akriti's face. In his mind, he contemplated how long it had been since he'd left his house. It had, indeed, been a very long time. I was wrong. We were all wrong. We should have stopped him, but we didn't. We should have persuaded him to stay. Perhaps he would have stayed. There are so many questions I shall never find answers to. The house, in his absence, is silent from the sadness that follows separation. Today, I don't know where Rahul is. My faith in you, my God, is divine, and I know you will keep him happy wherever he is. Even if he wishes to come back, we have left him no place to return. These days, I stay up all night thinking about him, picturing him as a little boy. It was through her prayers that his mother wished to reach out to Rahul. She wasn't aware that her son, who had left 15 years ago never to return, was already on his way back home. The Rahul who'd left was a 14-year-old impulsive kid who had brought disgrace to his family. He'd never been able to match his brother's excellence in his studies. Instead, his churlish behavior had been everybody's concern. In contrast, the Rahul who was returning was an intelligence officer with a reputation for undertaking the riskiest missions, calmly and tactically. Everything about him had changed. The city, however, remained the same. Rahul was lost in thought when he rang the doorbell. Raju, the caretaker, opened the door but didn't recognize him. How can I help you? Raju asked. Instead of answering, Rahul entered the house and searched for his mother, who was working in the kitchen. He had forgotten the rage he had felt when he left years ago, and now, as he called out to his mother, his voice sounded as though it belonged to an infant. Mummy. Mummy, he called for his mom till he entered the kitchen and saw her. How have you been? You recognize me, don't you? Rahul. Where are the others? Dad. Karen. Everyone in the house gathered around Rahul to witness his return. It was indeed true. The younger son had returned, and while his mother was beaming with excitement, his father did not seem very pleased. Mr. Rana was not a man easily swayed by emotions. He eyed Rahul suspiciously. If his son had returned after 15 long years, there was bound to be an underlying purpose. That purpose, Mr. Rana intended to find out. Am I daydreaming, Rahul? Mr. Rana feigned surprise. Rahul simply smiled and touched his feet. I cannot believe my eyes. I must go to the temple today to thank God for answering my prayers after all these years. Where were you all this time? His mother had tears in her eyes. Yes, where is your house? His father's question sounded more like an interrogation. I haven't bought one yet. I rent places and keep moving, because who knows where I'll be the next day? Owning a house requires maintenance. I am currently staying in a rented flat in Delhi. Before that, I was in Chipuri. Like all kids who abandon their families at a young age, I, too, have seen terrible times. There was sadness in Rahul's laughter. I am sorry. I should have stopped you, said his father. You don't have to be. I may have gone away in a fit of rage, but, at the end of it all, I am happy. So, what do you do for a living? His father asked curiously. I am working with the intelligence network agency, INA. That seemed to startle everybody. No one had expected Rahul to be working with an organization as prestigious as the INA. His mother's pride was inevitable. His father, however, showed little reaction. What Rahul's smile did not convey was his disappointment. He had been disappointed with his family for never bothering to search for him, never caring to reach out to him, let alone persuading him to return. The doorbell rang to announce the arrival of Rahul's elder brother, Karan. As Raju opened the door, he told Karan that there was a surprise waiting for him. I know. Dad messaged me, Karan replied. Karan, how are you? Rahul asked. Karan gave a slight smile but did not bother to answer. Rahul was not surprised. In the years he'd spent with Karan, there was nothing worth remembering. Whenever the brothers were together, their father made it a point to compare the two. These frequent comparisons distanced Rahul from Karan. For his part, Karan looked down on his younger brother and never objected to his father's derisive remarks. Eventually, the rift between them was large enough to part them emotionally. After eating the lunch prepared by his mother, Rahul passed out on the sofa. His father was sitting in his chair having a cup of tea and gazing at the sky through the window. When Karan asked him, "Why is Rahul here after so many years?" "I am sure he is here for some selfish reason. If it were for the love of his family, he would have returned long ago. We should talk to him and find out more." His dad took a last sip before putting his cup on the side table. Cleaning his specs, he added, "Tomorrow we are meeting the girl's family for your marriage. See to it that Rahul doesn't cause any sort of disruption. You know him and his old ways." "Yes, Dad." Karan began walking towards his room. He stopped midway and quietly opened the door of the room where Rahul slept. There had to be a reason why his brother had bothered to remember his family after all this time. As soon as his brother left the room, Rahul retrieved his phone from his pocket and texted Akriti, who along with Nirav, was staying at a hotel nearby. "You can check out from the hotel tomorrow afternoon. I plan on telling my parents about you in the morning. I am not sure they'll be too pleased about it." Akriti was amused by the fact that an intelligence officer would be so rattled about confronting his parents. "All the best for the mission, officer." She smiled at the other end. Chapter 2. Not everyone was thrilled about Rahul's return. Mr. Rana, for instance, tried to ignore his son. Not only had his son not bothered to apologize, but he also wore the same defiant expression as when he had left. Rahul, on the other hand, was nervous about confronting his family with the reason for his arrival. He knew he would have never returned if the mission hadn't required their cooperation. But now that he had, he knew he'd missed his mother's smile, and perhaps he'd missed the air of the city as well. "Raju Kaka, why is everyone getting dressed up? Is there supposed to be a function today?" asked Rahul the next morning at the breakfast table. Oh Baba, don't you know? Talks of Karan Bhaiya's marriage are going on. And the girl, along with her family, is coming to see us today, Raju answered, before rushing into the kitchen to continue with the arrangements. Love marriage, is it? Rahul teased, picking up the banana that was on the table. Mr. Rana, who was seated in his chair overlooking the window, responded with authority, arranged. There is no such thing as love marriage. It's either arranged or you choose to defy principles. After a pregnant silence, Rahul spoke to his mother in a disapproving tone. He hasn't changed a bit, has he? Still interfering with our lives to prove his dominance. Even after all these years, he continues to enforce his orthodox beliefs. If he chose the wrong partner for me, would he be accountable for the mistake? The girl is coming to see Karan, not you. And Karan is okay with that. Now don't create a fuss, please, his mother retorted. Why would Karan object? He's always been the perfect son to both of you. If obeying your draconian principles meant losing perspective, Karan would happily do that as well. Stop being difficult. Maybe we're happy believing what we have always believed, his mother tried to placate him. This is primarily why I left. In this family, nobody really cares about how you feel. All they care about is that you don't mar their reputation built on irrational beliefs. Rahul was furious. Please, Rahul, try not to create a scene in front of everyone today. The girl's family will be arriving any moment now. Go and get ready. Anyhow, they are not here to see me, he said with indifference. After Mrs. Rana had left, his father turned to Rahul, don't come after more than a decade and try to change our way of living. Mr. Rana was dressed in a kurta pajama that only reinforced his authoritative persona. Rahul left the living room to avoid any more arguments. Even after his professional accomplishments, it wasn't as if his opinion was regarded. What was the point of the rules if they only created a rift in the family? Traditions, religions, and beliefs did not define a happy family, affection and understanding did. Perhaps, then, theirs would never be a happy family. The Pathak family was supposed to have come by lunchtime but was already an hour late. Karan had drunk 2 cups of tea out of anxiety. Rahul, on the other hand, was indifferently watching television. Are they even coming? Have you tried calling them? Rahul asked Karan, who was busy tucking in his shirt in front of the mirror. Dad tried calling Mr. Pathak but his phone was not reachable. You know the traffic during rush hours, Karan replied, not looking away from the mirror. As time passed, the restlessness was visible on everyone's face, except Rahul's, as he continued watching television. Rahul, switch it off and change your clothes. They could arrive any time. Now, his mother shouted. It's been more than an hour and a half. Plus, I am comfortable in my shorts, he casually replied, as he surfed through channels to find something interesting to watch. I suppose you would have absolutely no problem wearing just your underwear as well then, his mom continued yelling. First of all, they are shorts. And second, I don't think they are coming. Karan looked frustrated. He had been looking forward to meeting this girl and her parents. Karan, who spent each penny in his wallet judiciously, had bought his shirt from the most expensive store in the city. What a complete waste, he thought. You can wear it to my wedding, Rahul teased, reading his thoughts. And I am sure my wife will make it on time. The moment the bell rang, Rahul rushed into the kitchen with the pants he was supposed to wear. The Pathak family, along with their daughter, Rashi, entered the house. "Sorry we are late. With traffic, you never know," Mr. Pathak smiled apologetically. "Don't worry, it's fine," Mrs. Rana said. Once everyone had settled and tea was served, both the families shared an awkward silence, until they saw Rahul emerging from the kitchen. "Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was getting ready." Mr. Rana gave Rahul a dirty look before turning back to Mr. Pathak and smiling. Mrs. Rana signaled Rahul to zip his pants. She called for Karan, who had rushed to check himself in the mirror one last time. "So, this is our son, Karan. He is an MBA graduate and senior executive in one of the most prominent business firms in India, Reliance Industries. Now that I think of it, shouldn't it have been the other way round? Custom dictates that it's the boy's family that visits the girl's family. Considering how committed families are these days to customs, Rahul had a tone of ridicule in his voice. "How come you got this one wrong? Rahul, please stop talking nonsense so we can discuss what we are here for." Rahul's mother dodged the question. "Auntie, I think his question is valid." Rashi spoke for the first time. "It was I who insisted we meet the boy's family. Since it is the girl who comes to stay with the boy's family after marriage, I suggested it was better I saw the place I was to live in. I found it illogical the other way round. Is that a good enough answer, Mr. Rahul smiled. "So, I was telling you about our son, Karan, Mr. Pathak." Mr. Rana tried to change the subject. "We have raised Karan very traditionally." "Ah, now that's the indicator of a reputable family. And being reputable is not the most important thing, Mr. Pathak," Rahul added. "I appreciate your thoughts, Mr. Rahul, but can we hear from Karan? We might as well switch roles, Karan, since you are shying away like a girl," Rashi tried to joke. Everyone, except Mr. Rana, laughed. He was getting a little upset with Rashi's upfront nature. Rahul sensed it and suggested that both Karan and Rashi be given some private space, to which everyone agreed. After the two left for Karan's room, the elders continued discussing the importance of tradition. It is hard to find a family that is respected and values tradition. We are also against the concept of love marriage. These days, children lack maturity and get married without consulting their parents, which explains why so many marriages end in divorce. Sir, that is not the case. Love marriages involve mutual understanding and respect between the couple. Also, not getting divorced hardly implies that the marriage is successful. People choose to stay in an unhappy marriage mostly because they are too afraid to separate, keeping in mind the ideals of the society. The couple getting married should be content about the decision, be it love or arranged. Don't you think some traditions should change with time? So, are you looking for a girl for Rahul too? Mr. Pathak asked, ignoring everything that Rahul had just said. Yes, we are, his mom answered. Why would you lie? They will not be looking for a girl for me. I already have someone in my life, and I shall marry her when it pleases me. Her name is Akriti. You older people can go on and on with your litany of customs and principles, but it will have no effect on me. You'll never realize how hollow these words sound. No one knew the argument would escalate so quickly. The Pathak family decided not to take things any further and they left. Mr. Rana was sorry his younger son had turned a fateful meeting into a debacle. Without disrespecting each other, they signed off. Karen was clueless as to why the Pathak family had left in such haste, but he knew that whatever had happened had something to do with Rahul. Mr. Rana quietly sat on his chair, while Rahul's mom sobbed alone in her room. In the midst of all the chaos, Rahul had forgotten to call Akriti. He rushed to his room to check his phone. The screen showed numerous missed calls from both Akriti and Nirav. Akriti was going to kill him for his reckless attitude. Considering the circumstances, he decided to call her when things calmed down a bit. As Rahul walked back into the living room, his father was waiting to confront him. "Why are you here? You didn't bother to try to contact us all these years. And now you are here, all of a sudden, acting as if everything were normal." Rahul stayed quiet, but his father continued, "Are you here for money? For your house, perhaps? If that's the case, please take the money and leave. You are only doing to us what you did 15 years back. Damaging our reputation and bringing us shame." "Dad, I think we should let Rahul speak," Karen interrupted, trying to ease the situation, but he was made to shut up. Rahul simply walked away to his room, upset over the entire situation. This time, Karen followed him to his room and made him sit. This sudden change in Karen's behavior surprised Rahul, but he was too disturbed to speak. "Calm down, Rahul. You know Dad. You cannot change his perception of the world. Your ideology may be different, perhaps much better than his. But you cannot bring him around to see the world through your eyes. I am not here to seek anything. YW. Auntie, he understand? Why did I feel the need to run away? Because I was left with no choice. We have lived our lives in a certain way for too long to change their course. Now, what happened with you, the reasons why you ran? Your troubles and predicaments, nobody knows them well enough to understand them. Dad and Mom are clueless about how troubled you were. I was aware of your situation, but you barely bothered to confront us with it. I know what happened that day. I know the exact reason behind your decision to run away. You could have resolved it. Instead, you chose to run. Just like that, without saying anything. You knew why I had done it." Rahul raised his eyebrows. "Yes, but I never spoke about it to anyone." Rahul smiled sadly. Karen put a comforting arm on his shoulder. Rahul could not remember when they'd last been like that. In the process of growing up, the child in us is often left confused and silenced, without answers. But even after all these years, we are still the same child, with a few more scars. Chapter 3. 18 years ago. Rahul did not want to try to be perfect, but he had little choice. When your older sibling excels in school, has a good rapport with teachers, is praised for his behavior, and all you happen to be is a notorious urchin, you feel defeated. So you try to be your older sibling, replicating his style around your family, in an attempt to woo their hearts. But you fail every time. Because your parents won't accept anything less than a prodigy. And that, however hard you try, you cannot be. All Rahul wanted was for his parents to love him for the person he already was, not the person they wanted him to be. That's my fourth point. St1 to go, Rahul punched the air after knocking Sandy's pen off the table by hitting it with his pen. "Look, I already told you in the beginning that you are playing with a Parker pen and I have a Reynolds. Yours is a heavyweight pen and that's cheating," Sandy said, disappointed. "Don't cry like a child. Gear up for the next round. I am not changing my pen." It was Friday, and it was the day Rahul enjoyed the most. According to the Dumb shuffling policy, Rahul only got to sit on the last bench on Fridays. Far from the teacher's eyes, Rahul would play all the games he could. Without getting noticed by the teacher, his favorite one being pen fight. Rahul was just bending down to pick up his pen from under his desk when he caught a glimpse of the teacher's feet right in front of him. Shit. Shit. I knocked off my pen and now she is going to knock me out of the class. Can't the bell just ring? These dreadfully long periods don't end when I want them to. He gradually looked up towards the teacher and stood up respectfully. Sorry, miss. It's too bad India doesn't have a sport called pen fight. I suggest you concentrate, instead, on the fights that took place in history. The real fights. The wars. And I suggest you concentrate on the fights between you and your husband. So you don't have to pour your pent-up anger on your students, thought Rahul. Now hurry up, show me your remark notebook, the teacher ordered. Please, miss. I won't do it again. Give me one last chance, please. Rahul begged with an innocent face. But his pleading was in vain, and after the teacher left his side to resume teaching, there was a new remark on a page of his remark notebook in a series of remarks. He turned to look at Sandy, who was grinning shamelessly. He'd got a remark from the teacher too. What was he so happy about? Aren't you scared to get this remark signed by your parents? Rahul whispered. He thought to himself, once again, I'll spend a Sunday getting compared to Karen in every possible way. No. Why do I have to show it to my parents? I am an expert in forging my mother's signature. Try it, Sandy winked. Rahul considered Sandy's advice for a long time before nodding his head in agreement. He would do anything to skip the harassment that followed a remark. Pen fights were not the best thing about Friday. It was also sports day at school, and even though Rahul performed poorly in class, he was his grade's best performer in sports. He always got first prize when it came to races. Bro, we gotta win today. We gotta show Section A that they'd rather sit at home than race with us dudes, Sandy said, trying to sound cool. Sandy had never run a race. I'll try my best. Rahul stared at the track that ran the whole length of his school's playground. He knew he was going to win. He always won. The sports teacher whistled for them to take their ready position. She held a flag in her hand and said, set. After a brief pause, she shouted, go, and everybody took off. What Rahul loved most about running was that when he ran, he left his uncertainties behind. It was like chasing the wind with playful feet. So, when Rahul ran, he did not think about winning, he thought about losing himself, and then, in a moment, he would have finished the race, and he would only realize because the crowd would shout his name and clap simultaneously. That day, he claimed the first place again. Flaunting the medal by wearing it around his neck, he reached home only to realize that he had a remark to get signed. His excitement vanished and his face became sullen. He locked himself in his room and debated whether to follow Sandy's advice. Rahul, first have your lunch, then do whatever you want to, his mother called out. Mom, I am studying. I have my test tomorrow, he shouted back. Quit lying and eat your food. Since when did you care about tests? Tell Karen to eat first. He already had his lunch and left for tuitions. He doesn't waste time on sports competitions, his mother scoffed. I won a medal today. Don't you think we'll be more proud when you come first in class? Karen stood first in the entire section last semester. Ask Karen to sit for my exams as well. Good for me. Rahul had been practicing his mother's signature all this time. He tried to replicate it by comparing it with the previous signatures in his remark notebook. He had to get it right because getting a remark was not as bad as getting caught forging your parents' signature. After multiple attempts, he succeeded in getting his mother's signature right. The rest of the day was spent in carefully avoiding his parents. The next day, in school, Rahul reluctantly showed his remark notebook to the teacher. The teacher, on close inspection, discovered that the signature had been forged. She berated Rahul for his audacity to commit such an offense. She immediately summoned his parents, asking them to meet her during lunchtime. Rahul was petrified. He was also sad because Sandy had gotten away with his crime. His mother arrived a little before lunchtime and saw Rahul kneeling down in the corridor as a punishment. "What have you done this time?" she asked angrily. After the bell rang, the teacher appeared in the corridor. She suggested that Rahul and his mother come with her to her cabin. That walk to the cabin felt like the longest walk of his life. He could see dread lurking behind the cabin door. "Sorry to bother you, ma'am, but I am tired of Rahul's antics. Do you know? Rahul got a remark for misbehaving in the class yesterday." Rahul's mom raised her eyebrows at Rahul, and her furious look made him sweat. "No, he didn't tell me anything. All he said was that his test was scheduled for today and he had to prepare for it." "Well, there was no test scheduled for today. I am sure this is one of the many lies your child has been telling you. Anyhow, your child forged your signature on the remark I wrote in his notebook." His teacher continued, "I wanted to inform you, with much displeasure, that if anything like this happens again, I will be bound to take strict action." Rahul had reached a dead end and there was no cheat code to escape. When they reached home, his mother slapped his face. Karen tried to stop her from hitting Rahul, but she was too furious to listen to anybody. "You think you are very smart coming home with some complaint or other every day. You should be concentrating on your studies, but you are whiling away your time in useless sports. Do you want to be called a loser for the rest of your life? For God's sake, learn something from your elder brother." Mr. Rana's words felt like daggers, and each one stabbed Rahul's heart. "Dad, Mom, please stop it," Karen pleaded. "You stop it," Rahul said in retaliation. "It's because of you that I am getting to hear all this. So, don't try and act protective. I am so tired of hearing them say, Karen did this and Karen did that. It's almost like I have no identity of my own. You may be good at academics but I am good at sports. Why should you be given preference over me? They won't accept me the way I am." Turning to face his parents, Rahul added, "Just because I am average, I am a disgrace to this family. Do you even care about my likes and dislikes? Do you want to know why I didn't show you the remark I received? It was not because I was afraid of committing a mistake, but because I was afraid to face you after I'd committed it." Rahul left for his room, weeping hysterically. Karen tried calling after him. "You can stop pretending now," Rahul shouted back as he closed the door behind Karen. Who was at fault? Rahul for the way he behaved or his parents whose attitude towards their child made him behave the way he did? Rahul was at fault for forging a signature, but what was more worrisome was why he had chosen to take that step. Rahul's parents should have just let him know that they were there for him and that grades did not determine whether or not he was a good person. This, however, they were far from doing. Rahul was sandwiched between his parents' expectations and his own reality. This made him hate not only his parents but also his brother, Karan. At a tender age, if you're not made to feel wanted or loved, you develop perceptions about people whom you consider to be the reason for your suffering. And sometimes, these perceptions are hard to break. Rahul, where are you going at this hour? Wasn't your class cancelled? His mother was curious. No, my class wasn't cancelled. Also, I have to submit some pending homework. Don't blame me if I don't, and this time, my tuition teacher calls you, Rahul said wryly. Rahul stood in front of the mirror debating what to wear. He finally decided to go with the black shirt he had got for his birthday. He preened himself. And after emptying an entire bottle of perfume, he left on his bicycle. His tuition classes were on the right. He took the left instead. Karan saw Rahul taking the left, and because he was worried about Rahul, he decided to follow him. Karan followed Rahul's bicycle till he stopped outside a park. Since it was evening, the park was full of people and this made it difficult for Karan to locate Rahul. He caught sight of Rahul's black shirt. And after a little walk, he saw him stop and sit on a bench facing the lake. Karan knew that Rahul loved to go to the park with his parents, but he had never seen him go there alone. After many moments of inactivity, Karan noticed a girl walk towards Rahul and sit beside him on the bench. From the way they greeted each other, Karan sensed that they were more than friends. Should I be sad because I am single or happy because my brother has a girlfriend? Damn. Isn't she gorgeous? I guess I might know who she is. Isn't she the one studying in the girls' school opposite to us? Oh, yes. Karan thought. He had to admit his surprise. Rahul and a girl alone in the park, all by themselves, wasn't what Karan had been expecting. He felt a pang of jealousy rise up in him. He tried to conceal himself behind a tree in order to escape being noticed. But in his haste, he slipped on the wet grass and landed with a thud. The noise attracted Rahul's attention and he looked at Karan, his eyes filled with horror. Fuck. What am I supposed to do now? Should I run after Karan? But. Wow. LDNT, that mean leaving Trisha alone? Why did you have to follow me, Karan, and ruin everything? What's wrong? The girl sitting next to Rahul asked. Rahul was too astounded to speak. The girl shook his shoulders and repeated her question. Nothing. I have to go, Rahul said, and rushed off, leaving the girl confused. Rahul saw Karan fleeing on his bicycle and tried to stop him, but Karan sped away. Rahul immediately got on his bike and rode after him. The chase continued for a few minutes. Every few seconds, Rahul shouted Karan's name to make him stop, but Karan pretended not to hear him. The two finally stopped at a red traffic signal, side by side. Karan, please listen to me, Rahul begged, and tried to reach for his hand but Karan dodged him. The fear was evident on Rahul's face because failing to placate Karan would mean another round of grilling at his house. The moment the signal turned green, Karan accelerated to get away from Rahul. Rahul was getting irritated by Karan's behavior. In anger, he crashed his bicycle's front tire into Karan's back tire. Since Rahul was conscious of his act, he balanced himself accordingly and sped ahead of Karan. He stopped his bike on the side of the road and waited for Karan to catch up. Soon after, he noticed a crowd gathering around someone who was injured. They were carrying the person towards the roadside. He was shocked to discover that the person being carried was Karen. Rahul jumped off his bicycle and ran towards the group of people who were still gathered around Karen. Pushing everyone away, he approached Karen, who had passed out from the pain. A motorcyclist had run over Karen's leg after he'd slipped, probably from Rahul's act of hitting his bicycle's back tire. The people helped admit Karen to the nearby hospital, and Rahul called his parents from the hospital's landline. He was too afraid to tell them the truth. So instead he only told them how Karen had slipped and been injured. Deep inside, he regretted what he had done. He knew very well that the consequences of his act could be far-reaching. It's all my fault, Rahul thought, as he sat on the bench outside the room where Karen was being examined. A few minutes ago, I was sitting on a bench in the park, and now, I am sitting on a bench in a hospital where my brother has been admitted because of me. I hurt him and I cannot forgive myself for that, even though my act was unintended. My insecurities about Karen and this constant pressure to keep up with him have made me a monster. Karen, please forgive me for being a bad brother to you. I am so ashamed of myself. Rahul felt awful about what had happened. He was guilty of an unintended crime and he did not know what would absolve him of it. Moreover, he was sure his parents would find out about his tryst with the girl, and they'd be even more ashamed of him. In the effort to get out of one mess, he kept getting into another. His parents had arrived at the hospital and were asking him for the details of what had happened. Rahul was too ashamed to answer honestly, so he avoided explanations by describing it as a minor fall from the bicycle. Some time later, the doctors appeared with Karen, who was in a wheelchair. It's an incomplete fracture. You can take him home, but just make sure that he takes rest for a minimum of 3 weeks and remember to bring him for a routine checkup. Thank you, doctor, Mr. Rana said gratefully. He pushed the wheelchair through the passage towards the exit. Mrs. Rana could not control her tears when she saw her son in a wheelchair, but Karen tried to calm her down. What happened, Karen? How did you fall down and what were you doing there? Rahul's mom asked with concern. This time, Rahul was prepared for any scolding that came his way. If anyone was responsible for Karen's condition, it was Rahul. Had he not crashed his tire against Karen's in a fit of rage, none of this would have happened. Although Rahul had only wanted to get Karen's attention, he had not foreseen the consequences in case Karen fell from being unbalanced. It's nothing, Mom. Rahul and I had gone cycling together. I tried to cross the road during the red signal and collided with a motorbike coming the other way. Rahul was dumbfounded by Karen's decision to save him from their parents' wrath. Karen had stayed silent about what had taken place in the park. Moreover, he'd forgiven Rahul for what he'd accidentally done to him. After they reached home, Rahul decided to speak to Karen, and perhaps to apologize. But his elder brother was too weak to talk. When the world moves too fast and you are not able to catch up, you lose yourself in the chaos. That year, Rahul had been selected for the NCC, but his father considered it a waste of time and rejected the offer on his behalf. Rahul was one of the few students who'd been selected, and he tried hard to convince his family, but they refused to understand. It did not make sense to them. Rahul's heart had splintered into pieces, but he'd said nothing disrespectful. Karen was back on his feet, but he hadn't spoken with his parents about the unfortunate episode. He also didn't open up with Rahul, who had tried to break the ice with him quite a few times. It was a Sunday, and having studied mathematics for almost an hour, Rahul closed his book and stretched a little. He got up and went to the kitchen, fixed himself something to eat and sat on the recliner to watch TV. Karen was there too, watching Mission Impossible. Rahul liked the movie, but was in no mood to watch it again. He tried taking the remote from Karen, but Karen held onto it. "No, Rahul," he said, his hands tightly clutching the remote. "Don't you have to study?" Rahul said scornfully. They continued arguing for some time till they heard their mother's shriek from inside her room. Her face was pale, indicating something terrible had happened. She was in a state of shock and could not find the words to speak. Mr. Rana hurried to the bedroom to find stacks of files and folders sitting on top of the bed. "What happened?" "Somebody has stolen the envelope containing 5,000 rupees. I am sure I'd kept the envelope in this drawer, and now it isn't here," she said, pointing to a drawer of the almirah. "Did you check the other drawers? Perhaps you moved the envelope and then forgot about it." Mr. Rana tried to pacify her. "No, I had kept the maid's and the milkman's salaries in it. Today, I thought of paying the maid when she arrived in the evening, but I can't find the envelope. Nobody could have taken it. The maid only enters this room in our presence. Other than that, who's going to take it? I think you just need to check properly, Kavita." Mr. Rana tried to console her. "Should we call the police, Dad?" Karen suggested. Mr. Rana continued, "No. Don't be silly, Karen. The envelope must be around here somewhere." For the next couple of hours, Rahul's mother couldn't think of anything else and kept sobbing over it. Mr. Rana tried to calm her down, but she was inconsolable. Karen was busy studying, but Rahul looked a little restless. His dad inquired why he was anxiously walking around in his room instead of watching TV or studying. "What's wrong? I have been observing you for the past hour. Did you get a remark again at school?" "No, Dad, I didn't." "Are you sure?" Mr. Rana looked suspicious. "Yes." "Then go and get your remark notebook. Let me see it for myself." "Trust me, Dad, there's nothing." Rahul tried hard to convince his father, but to no effect. With a heavy heart, he walked towards the corner where he'd kept his bag. Unzipping it, he retrieved his remark notebook and looked back to see his dad waiting impatiently. "Bring it fast." "Why won't you trust me?" Rahul tried one last time. "I just don't," came the sardonic reply. With trembling hands, Rahul handed over the notebook to his dad, who took it from him. He sat in his chair and opened the notebook. Rahul rushed beside him, beads of sweat forming on his temples. The moment Mr. Rana opened the notebook, Rahul closed his eyes with dread. Mr. Rana pulled out a white envelope from the center of the notebook. Mrs. Rana gasped. The family was in a state of shock. Rahul may have been troublesome, but they couldn't have imagined him as a thief. Tears rolled down Rahul's face. What followed was no surprise to anyone. His father gave him a sound thrashing and scolded him for daring to do such a thing. His mother kept asking why he'd done it, but Rahul refused to break his silence.